Hello and welcome to the sideboard here for the Players Championship. I'm Ken Crocker here with at-large bid winner Logan Mize. Logan, how you doing?
Good.
How was the trip from Florida?
Yeah, it was all right.
A little colder up here, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you feeling confident though for this tournament?
Yeah.
The second time you're here?
Yep. That's an advantage, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So let's see if you take some of that advantage and put it towards your modern deck. Now, obviously, you got to play Legacy first, but then you'll be playing Modern, so very important. So what you decided to bring to Modern was you brought your Abzan company deck. Now, this is a deck you're pretty much well known for playing. You've top 8'd a couple SCG Opens with the deck. So if anyone wanted to, in this 16-player field, they could have went and looked through our deck database and realized that you've played this deck before. So you didn't switch it up.
It's the only deck I've played for the past 6 months. So.
Sure. So in a field like this where people could access that information, why do you feel like it's still the best choice?
Well, I feel like I would be the only person playing it, so it would be a detriment to them to single me out in, 1 out of 16. So, and I don't expect anyone else to play it.
Sure. So you figure no one's really going to take the time to hate you out because it's just you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so let's talk about some of the numbers in this deck. So it's pretty much, if you know about the legacy of the deck, it's taken over from the old Melira pod decks, or at least pieces of the Melira pod deck.
Mostly.
So you got your 4 Kitchen Finks and your 1 of Murderous Red Cap, and these are for the combo part of the deck.
Right.
So you don't have a lot of removal in the deck. So why only 1 Murderous Red Cap?
and Red Cap, yeah.
Yeah.
The 1 Red Cap is for against the matchups where they won't concede to infinite life.
Okay.
Most decks in Modern will concede to infinite life, but against Tron, you have to have Red Cap. Against Infect, you have to have Red Cap.
Or Melira.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They often have like maybe a dismember or 2 to get rid of it, but yeah, Melira, sure.
So Red Cap's there for people who are too stubborn to deal with this part.
Also, yeah, it helps in your board plan against like taking out like the combo and trying to like out attrition them because it's like a resilient threat, especially paired with the Gavany Townships.
Okay. So we'll get to the Gavany Townships here in a little bit. But first, let's talk about Viscera Seer. Now, Viscera Seer is your only way to sacrifice creatures within this deck. Now, there have been previous versions of the deck, at least either pod versions or company versions, that have played other sacrifice outlets as well. Some of them played
Cartel
Aristocrat, per se. So why did you choose to just stick with the Viscera Seer as a 3 of as the only sack outlet?
It's the most efficient. It's really hard, like outside of Pithing Needle, there's no real like downside to it. So I've seen people cut it 1 for like, there's also the Varol's.
Varol's, yep.
Sure.
The Scar Stripe?
Yeah, something. But
Striped?
No, it's just the most efficient.
Fair enough. Yeah. And then another thing you got going on is you got the newer Anafenza, I guess. Not the new one, but the newer Anafenza, Anafenza Kintree Spirit. And you also have Melira Sylvok Outcast. Now, these are the pieces that allow you to go off combo-wise.
Right.
But interestingly enough, Melira might have some interesting effects on this tournament. Obviously, people have been preparing for Infect, because you have people like Todd and Tom Ross. Yeah. Even people like Jonathan Morawski have 1 IQs with the Infect deck in Modern. Yeah. So my question is, why did you decide to stick with the 2-2 split?
Well, the deck already has a pretty good matchup against Infect, especially with 3 Spellskite main deck.
Sure.
So that's the main reason. I didn't want to mess with it too much because it's proven to me that the shell as it is good enough. Okay. So you don't want to draw 2 Melira against anyone else.
Fair enough.
So
still went 2-2,
not 3-1. You have
1.
chords. You could collect a company to it randomly. So with the Spellskite backup, I felt that it was
You felt pretty good in the Infect? Okay. So yeah, obviously, it's Abzan Company. Here are the collected companies for a really good card. So not much to say about that other than card's good. Yeah. Get 2 creatures. Yeah. But the question is about the Gavany Townships. So you're running 3. I've seen decks in this general kind of idea, Abzan Company or Melira Prod, they've at least ran 2, but some run up to 4. So with the kind of mana requirements that your deck needs, is 3 Gavany Townships too many, or is it just right?
It's actually, I find it pretty funny. This is my plan A, generally.
Okay, so we're not trying to combo people off.
No, there's a lot of lightning bolts and snapcasters, and it becomes rather difficult. But Township, just put in the play and every turn, and no one can really deal with it. And I find that I win probably more games just by townshipping them to death. Okay. Especially post board when everyone has their anti company hate.
Anti-graveyard hate.
But graveyard, relics and whatnot.
All right, so let's look at your mana base real quick. Yep. You're running a couple Horizon Canopy here with 3 of them, and then you're running like 1 of every kind of dual land. But we finally get to here, and you're running 2 forests, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Is there any concerns about getting Blood Mooned out of the format? I mean, people have Blood Moons in their sideboard, presumably for like Tron or Bloom.
Right. I mean, there's 8 fetches to get basics on turn 1, and then you also have 9 mana dorks.
Sure.
So if you know they have Blood Moon, and specifically for this tournament, we do get deck lists, so I'll know if they haven't main deck. And I'll be able to play around Blood
Moon. So
if knowing is all of the battle when it comes to Blood Moon. If I know they have it, you can easily play around.
So the information, kind of the fact that it's an open format like this, where we give you the deck list, you're not really afraid of Blood Moon because you get to play around it.
No.
All right. So let's see what kind of hate you brought, because like we mentioned, 15 other players. It's really easy to kind of put people on certain decks and try to hate it out. So in your sideboard, you got a couple one-ofs here. You got Aven Mind Sensor, Burnt and Forge Center, and Orzhov Pontiff. Now, the interesting one to me here is Orzhov Pontiff, because that's usually a main deckable card in these kind of strategies. These other 2 are obviously, Anger of the Gods proof, and try to catch somebody on fetch lands or Amulet Bloom or something along those lines. But Pontiff usually sees play in the main deck, so why have you moved it to the sideboard?
Well, I've always played with it in the sideboard because I've always played with more Spellskites than everyone else, so things need to be cut. And so I'm all in on the combo, even though like I do win the majority of my games with that township, but I don't, like it's very sleek and efficient, and there's no voices main deck or any Pontiffs, none of that, just combo pieces and protection.
Is it because you don't have access to Pod? Like, since Pod was banned at this point, you got to kind of cut back on the one-ofs a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So, speaking of voices, let's get to them. Obviously, Kasali Pride Mage, Scavenging Goose, you Artifact Enchantment hate, Graveyard hate, kind of know what these cards do. Voice of Resurgence is a card that usually sees play in the main deck. It sees play in the main deck most of the time. It's great to sacrifice. It's good against the blue decks that are pretty heavy in Modern. You're good against Snapcaster Mage. You got 4 all in the sideboard.
All on the board. It's really in there, like as you said, against the blue decks, Twin. Against Jund, that's a resilient threat.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like I said, it's in the board now because main deck, I just wanted to be focused on the combo.
Okay. Then you have your Eidolon Rhetoric, just in case somebody's playing a little Storm.
Yeah.
And is that for Caleb?
No, I mean, I think he'll probably play Affinity if I had to take a guess.
Okay.
But it's really in there because anyone could play a Storm, or even like the Gristle Horde deck.
Sure.
And it's just 1 card, and it can do so much because you can chord for it.
Definitely.
So,
and then you have a split here on Abrupt Decays and Path to Exile. So why this split, 2/2-wise?
Well, I had 4 Path for the longest time, and I was thinking about it more and more, and I've been liking the idea of Abrupt Decay.
Okay.
And I think if certain cards were to be banned in Modern in the future, like Amulet and stuff like that, I think Abrupt Decay could just be a 4 of and this be a 0 down the road. But I like to split because people will randomly have like a Grafdigger's Cage. Very hard to get rid of. It's actually the most difficult artifact. Like Tulpa Orb you can play around, but the Grafdigger's Cage is KO.
This one's not nearly as much for creatures. It's for like permanents that may disrupt your game plan, but usually it'll cost a bunch for his Path to Exile.
Deck, the Lantern Controller, stuff like that.
So,
artifacts, really.
And then finally, you got Linvala, Keeper of Silence. Is this for Twin? Is this for Elves?
It's for a bunch of different things. The Mirror, Twin, Elves, maybe even Jund, depending on their list, to shut down Scavenging Goose.
Sure.
If they have Olivia as well. So.
All right, so, I mean, obviously, you know what you're doing with this kind of deck. But you say there's no concerns about metagaming against you. Were any of the switches you made in your main or sideboard based off metagaming against what you might thought somebody else was playing?
Not so much. Like, the deck is the way it is. If you play against Tron, you're going to just lose the majority of the games.
Okay.
If you play against a burn deck, you're going to win a majority of the games. And there's really, no matter what you do with it, that's just how it is.
So you basically are going to sit down at the table, your opponent's going to know what you're playing, and you're just going to tell them to beat me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, hopefully for you, that doesn't take place and that you beat them.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for taking the time to size him from the sideboard, Logan. Appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, you guys stay tuned for more action here at the Players' Championship.